Hey, what's up, everybody? I just got off the phone with my engine builder, Bob. We got the engine block back. Said he just got it back from the hot tank, uh, and he did say that the water passages, which I knew, he said that they just poured out rusty water, rusty antifreeze looking sludge out of them. But he said the block come back, and he said it's looking like a brand new one. So I'm happy about that. And then we just kind of briefly talked it over on the phone, and he's saying, I asked him if they sonic tested the motor, and he didn't answer that, so I don't know if they did or if they didn't. But he said just to be on the safe side, we're going to plan to build that motor at a 60 over motor. So I got to get on eBay or something and try to dig up some 60 over pistons. I know they got them on eBay, so. And then I asked him, we still going to do the camel hump heads? And he said, well, I don't know if the motor is really going to benefit from the camel hump heads. So I told him, when I get the pistons and things like that, I'll bring the pistons and the rods out to you, and then I'll bring the original 1955 heads out with me, and we can just evaluate them at that point. Because if we're doing a 60 over 265, that's like 272, almost 273 cubic inch, or maybe it is a 273 cubic inch. And he said he really didn't know if the engine would even benefit from having the camel hump heads on there. So that's a small amount of money that I can save, because he said he would build me a set of camel hump heads. But if I could use my original heads, maybe I could save a little bit of money with not having to buy the camel hump heads. So anyways, it's a go on the block, which I'm happy about that. And a lot of people was telling me that the 125 thousandths over was way too much for that motor, and I had read that also. But now me and Bob's kind of talked about it a little bit, so we're just going to do a 60 over to clean the motor up. He said you could probably do it at 40, but you're in there, you might as well just take it to 60. Clean the motor up. The crank looks good, but number one and two, rod journal's going to need turn. So he said the crank's nice and straight, but it'll probably do a 10 thousandths oversized bearing all through all your rod journals. But I'm real happy about that. So now I just got to get the pistons, and I asked him about a camshaft, and he didn't really want to put any information out there on the camshaft. He said I would have to pick that out, so I'll have to figure that out on my own. But yeah, we got a good original 1955 265 block. So a lot of people was telling me to keep that motor original, and maybe it was a blessing in disguise. This motor may be a little bit more toned down. I could still run the 4-barrel aluminum intake with the fin valve covers. It'll just be more of a 1956 variety with the smaller intake ports and the original style Corvette valve covers. In like 61 or 2, they went from a staggered bolt pattern to a straight bolt pattern on the valve covers, but they still made the Corvette valve covers the whole time. So it might not be quite the powerhouse that I'm looking for, but it's still going to have a Super G10 in it. I went to a junkyard and found one, which I'll probably end up going back and getting that one. It's got a busted up gear, but a lot of people was telling me that that isn't that hard to rebuild that transmission. And the beauty of a 6-ring Super G10, it's got a 342 first gear, so it doesn't take a lot of horsepower at all to make you feel like your car is fast. So at the end of the day, guys, I think it's a win for me. It's a win for the 55 Chevy Convertible, because it'll probably be more along the lines of a slightly bumped up 265. I sure didn't want to put all that money in that car and be cruising down the road, and then all of a sudden, one of the cylinders gets a crack in it because it's so overboard. So I think it's a win. It's a win all across the board. And a lot of people recommended that I just go with a 327 or a 283. I've got a lot of different engines, and for that convertible, I would love to have the original motor back under the hood of that car. So that's just a little update on what's going on with the engine. He's ready to start boring the cylinders. He's ready to start prepping the block. He's got all the cam bearings out of it, so we're ready to roll. So one guy wanted to see a little bit more of the front end on the 55 Nomad that's got the straight axle, so I'll do a small walk around on that, and then I will let you guys slide. So the one guy was wanting to see a more in-depth view of this front end, and you could see it's not even really their traditional straight axle. That's more of a tube going across there, but they had welded in this plate at the bottom of the cross member. You can see I got a little bit of an antifreeze leak. Maybe it's from a buddy of mine stopped by and we had seen it was leaking out of the sending unit on the top of the intake, so maybe it's dribbling all the way down here. But it's nice and green, and that's good because it's about 20 degrees today. So anyways, this is called a Transverse straight axle. It's got a single multi-leaf spring going left to right, and then it connects, it's got the shackles that connects to each one of them pivots, and then you can see it's got a radius rod running down through there, and that's why the car won't steer too sharp either way, because the tire, when you turn it, it bottoms out into them radius rods. And this, I think this is called a bump steer straight axle, where you got that bar going across there that ties in up there, so that it actually steers off the right front tire, and then it's got that bar that goes across. So all your steering, and I guess that helps it when you'd hit a pothole. It makes it a lot more, well, chances are you're not going to hit a lot of potholes, but if you was driving this car around, you may, in the city, and if it was set up the other way where it steered off the left tire, I've heard that it'll really yank the steering wheel out of your hands. So that's how that front end's set up. And I'll try to sneak over here. You can see more of the radius rods, and that's the problem right there. If you turn too sharp, the back of the tire hits them, and then it's connected right there. That's a real early design, I think. So I hope that is what you guys was looking for. You wanted to see a little bit more of it. And then I got home a little early today, so I went ahead and turned this car around. Looks a lot better sitting this direction. Plus, when I'm sitting on my little patio watching TV, I'll see that dent. And then at that point, it'll make me want to fix the dent. So the old girl's looking pretty good sitting out there. I knew this side wasn't that bad, and the left side isn't horrible, but it's definitely going to need some work. I mean, we all know that if you guys have watched my videos. The left side's got that dent in the door, and then it's got a little rust here and there on the quarter, a couple little bad spots. But I stay so busy, if I'm not working on these, I'm chasing some type of a car or a part or something. So anyways, guys, that's excellent news on that little 265 engine. Said it come back looking like a brand new one. How can you really beat that? All right, guys, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Like, comment, subscribe.